That night, while 100 people laughed on my property, I was in the dark in my bedroom. I wasn't invited to my son's party. My name is Mary Johnson. I am 58 years old. I inherited this ranch from my father. I worked it with these hands. I kept it standing when everyone said a woman alone couldn't. And that night, my daughter-in-law posted a photograph on social media with a caption that cut through me like a knife. Our house, our party, our family, my ranch, my blood in every single board, in every fence, in every tree I planted when Robert was just a boy running barefoot through these yards. But I wasn't invited. I found out from a neighbor who called me, confused. Mary, did you organize that huge party? It looks beautiful from the highway. I didn't organize anything. My son was turning 35 years old. Vivian, my daughter-in-law, decided to celebrate it big. She rented white tents, hired a band, ordered a 3-tier cake, everything on my land, everything without asking me. I peered through my bedroom window. I saw the colored lights dancing among the trees. I heard the music, the laughter, the shouts of celebration. I recognized some voices, family, friends, people who greeted me at church every Sunday. No one knocked on my door. No one asked, "Where is Mrs. Johnson?" I stayed there, sitting on the edge of my bed, my hands resting on my knees. I was wearing my cotton robe and my slippers. I hadn't gotten dressed up. I didn't need to. No one was expecting me. I thought about going down. I thought about walking out the back door, going to where everyone was, and simply showing up, smiling, hugging my son, pretending everything was fine. But something inside me broke. It wasn't just the party. It was that phrase, our house. I grabbed my phone. I opened Vivian's account. There was the photograph, she and Robert, hugging in front of the ranch's main entrance, with golden balloons behind them. 200 people had liked it, 50 comments, everyone congratulating them. What a beautiful house you have. What a blessed family. Vivian, you are an incredible hostess. No one knew. No one knew that this house wasn't theirs. I looked at the clock. 11 o'clock and 10 minutes at night. The party was just beginning. The band was playing Sweet Caroline, and everyone was singing along. I got up slowly. I walked down the dark hallway of my own home. I went down the stairs without making a sound. I crossed the kitchen. I went out to the service yard. There, next to the laundry sink, is the generator room. My father installed it 30 years ago. I maintain it. I pay for the diesel. I know every wire, every fuse. I opened the metal door. The generator hummed constantly, powering the entire ranch. The party lights, the music, the microphone, everything. I placed my hand on the main switch. I took a deep breath, and I turned it off. The silence was immediate. The music cut out. The lights went off. Shouts of surprise filled the night. Total darkness. I heard running footsteps, confused voices. Someone shouted, "The power's out!" Another said, "Find some candles." I stood there, in the entrance of the generator room, my white robe glowing under the moonlight. And then, with a voice I didn't know I still had, I shouted, "I want everyone off my property right now." The silence that followed was different. It wasn't surprise. It was fear. "You didn't ask my permission for this party. This is my house, my property. Get out of here, all of you." I saw shadows moving in the dark. I heard murmurs. A woman quietly asked, "Is that Robert's mother?" No one moved quickly. I think they thought it was a joke, that any minute I would laugh and turn the lights back on. But I didn't. I stood there, firm, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Then I heard Robert's footsteps. I'd recognize them anywhere. Quick, decisive. Mom! Mom! What are you doing? His voice sounded startled and indignant. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence speak for me. I let everyone feel what I felt when I saw that photograph. What I felt when I wasn't invited to my only son's party. On my own land. You know what? Sometimes we trust those we love too much. We give them everything. House, land, name, respect. And one day you discover that, to them, you no longer exist. Have you ever been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read them, because what happened that night was only the beginning. What I discovered later made me realize that my son and my daughter-in-law didn't just want my ranch. They wanted to erase me. Robert came running to where I was. I could see his silhouette against the starry sky. He was wearing a white shirt that glowed in the dark, the one I had ironed for him myself the week before when he came to drop off his laundry. Mom, what's going on? Why did you turn off the power? His voice didn't sound worried about me. It sounded annoyed. I want everyone to leave, Robert. You didn't ask my permission to have this party. Permission? Mum, I live here. It's my house, too. Those words hurt more than the photograph. My house, too. As if I were just a tenant. As if those 30 years of caring for every corner, paying every bill, planting every tree meant nothing. But I didn't say anything else that night. I let them go. One by one, the guests began to leave. I heard engines starting. I saw car lights driving away down the dirt road. Some murmured, others laughed uncomfortably. No one said goodbye to me. Vivian walked past me without looking. She was wearing a hot pink dress with embroidery on the neckline, high heels. Her hair was loose and curly. She looked beautiful. She looked like the owner of everything. Robert left with her. He didn't come in to say goodbye. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just got into his truck and they left. I slept poorly that night. Or rather, I didn't sleep. I stayed sitting on the main entrance porch, wrapped in my shawl, watching the sun rise over the fields. And it was there, in that silence of the dawn, when I began to remember how we got here. Because there was a time when Robert and I were one. My son was born on this ranch. I brought him into the world in the main bedroom, the same one where I now sleep alone, with the help of a midwife from the town and my mother holding my hand. His father, Richard, was outside smoking cigarettes and pacing like a caged lion. When he heard Robert's first cry, he ran in, tears in his eyes, and held him as if he were made of glass. "He's just like you, Mary," he told me. "He has your forehead, your eyes." And he was right. Robert resembled me, not just physically, but also in his demeanor. Calm, observant. He liked being with me in the kitchen while I made biscuits. He would sit on a wooden stool and tell me about everything, about school, his friends, his dreams. "Mum, when I grow up, I'm going to take care of this ranch with you. We'll have lots of animals, cows, horses, chickens, and we'll sell the eggs in town." I laughed. "Sweetie, that's a long way off. First you have to study." "Why? You didn't study that much, and look how beautiful the ranch is." It was true. I only finished high school. My father, Mr. Russell Johnson, was a tough but fair man. He inherited this land from his father and his father from his, 3-generation caring for this piece of Texas. When I was born, my father wanted a boy. He always did. But my mother could only have me. A difficult birth that damaged her internally. The doctors said there would be no more children. My father never told me directly, but I knew it hurt him not to have a son to carry his name, to continue the legacy. So I decided to be that son. I learned to ride a horse before I turned 10. I learned to repair fences, check the cattle, and negotiate prices at the market. My father took me everywhere with him. He taught me everything he knew. Mary, the land doesn't forgive laziness. If you take care of it, it takes care of you. If you abandon it, it abandons you. I never abandoned this land, not even when I married Richard. Richard was from the city, from Houston. He came to the town because his uncle had an agricultural machinery business, and he came to help him during vacations. We met in the town square one Sunday after church. I was 23 years old. He was 25. He was handsome, tall, dark, with an easy smile. He knew how to talk nicely. He invited me to have a lemonade at the gazebo, then for a walk on the boardwalk, then to the movies. My father wasn't very convinced. Mary, that boy is a city boy. He doesn't know what it is to work the land. He'll want to take you with him. No, Dad. He already told me he wants to stay here, that he likes the country. And it was true. Richard stayed. We got married in the town church. It was a simple but beautiful wedding. My mother made my dress. My father paid for the band. We danced until dawn. Richard moved to the ranch. At first, everything was perfect. He worked hard. He helped with the cattle. He learned to fix tractors. My father began to see him favorably. That boy turned out good for you, sweetie. He has strong hands. When Robert was born, Richard was the happiest man in the world. Now you have your heir, Mr. Russell, he told my father. We'll stay put. My father smiled. It was one of the few times I saw him truly happy. Robert's first years were the best of my life. I remember everything. I remember his first steps in the yard, with Richard crouched down, waiting for him with open arms. I remember his first word, Mama. I remember how much he loved it when I sang to him before bed, always the same song, same. Hush, little baby. I remember Sunday mornings when we all had breakfast together on the porch. Coffee, sweet rolls, refried beans with cheese. Robert would sit on my lap, and I would give him little pieces of cinnamon roll. I remember how my father would carry him on his horse and show him the property lines. Look, Robert, all this is yours. Someday you'll take care of it, like I took care of it, like your mother takes care of it. Robert would nod seriously, as if he understood the weight of those words. We were a family, a complete family. But life has strange ways of changing things. My father died when Robert was 8 years old. A sudden heart attack while checking a fence. We found him lying under a mesquite tree, his hat on one side and his hands still clutching the wire. It was the first great pain of my life. On the day of the funeral, the whole town came. Mr. Russell was respected, loved and feared by some too, but respected. He left the ranch in my name. Everything. The 150 acres, the house, the cattle, the water rights. Everything to me. Not to Richard. To me. My father made it very clear in his will that the property was mine, and that after me it would be Robert's. Richard is a good man, he told my mother before he died. But this land belongs to the Johnsons. Mary knows how to take care of it. She will decide what to do when I'm gone. Richard never complained to me about anything, quite the opposite. Your father was right, Mary. You know more about this than I do. I'll help you, but you're in charge. And so it was for years. I managed, he worked, Robert grew, everything worked. My mother died 3 years after my father. Cancer. She went slowly, consuming herself like a candle. She spent her last months in her bedroom, looking out the window at the field where she had walked with my father so many times. Take care of Robert. she told me one afternoon, her voice barely a whisper. Make sure he doesn't lose this, that he doesn't forget where he comes from. He won't forget, Mum. I promise. I took her hand. It was cold, so thin that I could feel all the little bones. And take care of yourself too, sweetie. Don't let yourself be beaten down. The land is strong, but a woman alone can get tired. I didn't understand those words then. I understand them now. When Robert turned 15, he started to change. He wasn't bad. He didn't get into trouble. But he was no longer the boy who sat with me in the kitchen to talk. He wanted to go to parties, go out with friends. He spent more time in town than on the ranch. Richard said it was normal. Let him be, Mary. He's that age. He'll grow out of it. But he didn't grow out of it. At 18, Robert told me he wanted to go to college, business administration in Houston. Mum, I need to get out of here, see other things, learn new things. And the ranch, sweetie? I won't forget the ranch, but I want to study. I'll come back later and help you grow this. We can make a bigger business, sell organic produce, do country tourism. He had ideas, good ideas. I told him yes. Richard and I paid for his education. We rented a small apartment in Houston. We went to visit him every month. Robert came home on holidays and long weekends, but he came less and less. And when he came, he was no longer the same. He wore different clothes. He talked differently. He had friends he never introduced to us. Mum, you wouldn't know them. They're from the university. As if we were less. As if the ranch were less. Richard started getting sick when Robert was in his 3rd semester. At first it was small things. Tiredness, backaches. We thought it was age, hard work. But then came the dizziness, the nausea, the weight loss. I took him to the doctor. Pancreatic cancer, advanced stage. The doctor gave us 6 months. He didn't even make it to 4. Richard died on a Tuesday in April, with the window open and the birds singing into the bedroom. I was lying next to him, holding his hand. His last words were, "Forgive me, Mary. I couldn't give you more children. I couldn't help you more with the ranch." Don't say that. You gave me Robert. You gave me good years. That's enough. He closed his eyes and was gone. Just like that. Just that terrible. Robert arrived that night from Houston. He cried. He hugged his father's body. He was with me at the wake, at the funeral, at the burial. But a week later, he went back to the city. Mom, I have to finish the semester. I've already missed too many classes. I promise I'll visit more often. He didn't visit more often. He came less. And I was left alone on this ranch. Alone with the memories. Alone with the land. Alone. You know something? While I was telling all this, I thought about where you might be listening to me. In your house, perhaps. Preparing dinner. Or driving. Or lying down before bed. I'd like to know. Write the name of your city in the comments. It makes me feel less lonely to know someone is listening to me. Because what comes after this? What happened when Robert met Vivian? That's when everything really started to break. Robert met Vivian in his last year of college. He told me on the phone one October afternoon. I was in the kitchen making apple butter preserves, like I did every year around that time. The sweet smell filled the whole house. Mum, I met someone. His voice sounded different, excited, nervous. Oh, really, sweetie? What's her name? Vivian. She's from Houston. She's studying interior design. She's incredible, Mom. I want you to meet her. I was happy for him. I truly was happy. My son had been so sad after his father's death, so lost. I prayed every night that he would find something that would make him happy again. Of course, sweetie. Bring her whenever you want. This is always your home. Thanks, Mom. You're going to love her. You'll see. He hung up. I continued slicing the apples, putting sugar in the pot, stirring slowly. But something inside me felt strange. I couldn't explain it. It was like when the sky turns a certain color before a storm. There aren't clouds yet, but the air changes. Robert brought Vivian 2 weeks later. They arrived on a Saturday afternoon, in the truck we had bought him so he could visit us more easily. A white Toyota, brand new. Robert loved it more than anything. I was waiting for them on the porch. I had put on my navy blue dress, the one I wore on Sundays. I had put my hair up in a bun. I wanted to look presentable. I wanted my son's girlfriend to see that her mother-in-law was a dignified woman. I heard the engine. I saw the dust the truck kicked up on the dirt road. My heart was beating fast. I was nervous like a teenager. Robert got out first. He was wearing jeans and a plaid shirt. He looked handsome, older. He was a man now. Mom! He ran to hug me. He smelled of expensive cologne, of the city. Sweetie, it's good to see you. I brought you someone very special. He turned towards the truck and signaled. The door opened, and Vivian got out. She was pretty, very pretty, thin, tall, with long, straight, mahogany-coloured hair, fair skin, and bright pink lipstick. She was wearing a short denim dress and high-heeled sandals that sank into the dirt with every step. She walked towards me with a perfect smile. Mrs. Johnson, it's a pleasure to meet you. Robert has told me so much about you. She extended her hand to me. A soft hand, without calluses, with perfectly painted, nude-coloured nails. I shook it. My hand, hardened by work, looked like that of another species next to hers. The pleasure is mine, Vivian. Welcome. Oh, what a beautiful ranch. Robert told me it was big, but I didn't imagine it would be like this. It feels like being in a movie. She laughed, a high-pitched musical laugh. Robert looked at her as if she were a miracle. Come on in. I already prepared some food. You must be hungry from the drive. Oh, ma'am, you shouldn't have gone to all that trouble. It's no trouble. He's my son. We went into the house. Vivian was looking at everything. The thick adobe walls, the high ceilings with wooden beams, the antique furniture that had belonged to my grandmother, the porch with its geranium pots, the kitchen with its wood stove and its large pine table. How authentic everything is. I love this rustic style. It has so much potential. Potential? I didn't say anything. I served the food. I had made barbecue, my mother's barbecue, which she taught me to prepare when I was 12 years old. It takes 32 ingredients and 2 days to get it just right. I served it with red rice, refried beans, and freshly made biscuits. Robert served himself as always, filling his plate to the brim. Mum, nobody makes barbecue like you. I told Vivian she had to try it. Vivian served herself very little. 1 spoonful of barbecue, 2 of rice, no beans. I'm on a diet, she explained, smiling. But it looks delicious. She tried a bite. It's good, though it's a little spicy for me. Spicy. My barbecue isn't spicy. It has chili, yes, but it's balanced with chocolate, almond, cinnamon. It's not spicy. It's deep, complex. Do you want some water, sweetie? Oh, yes, please. Do you have bottled water? I have well water. It's fresh. Very good. Oh, well, that's fine. Robert quickly intervened. Vivian has a sensitive stomach, Mum. The doctor told her it's better to drink bottled water when travelling. I understand. I'll go to town and buy some right now. No, don't worry, Mom. A soda is fine. She drank a Coke. During the meal, Vivian talked a lot. She talked about her career, her classes, a project she was doing to remodel a restaurant in Houston, her friends, the places she liked to go on weekends. She talked about everything except me. She didn't ask anything about the ranch, nothing about what our life was like here, nothing about my family. She only talked about herself, and Robert listened to her, mesmerized. After eating, I showed them the property. We walked through the corrals. I showed them the cows, the horses, the chickens. Vivian walked carefully, avoiding stepping where there was mud or manure. "Oh, what a smell," she said, covering her nose when we passed the stable. "They're animals, sweetie. That's how they smell." "Yes, I know. But it's strong, isn't it? Robert, did you grow up with this smell every day?" Robert laughed awkwardly. "You get used to it." "Oh no, I couldn't. I would need a lot of scented candles." We kept walking. I showed her the vegetable garden, the fruit trees, the old well, the small chapel where my father prayed every day. Vivian took photos with her phone. "This is incredible for Instagram. Robert, take a picture of me here." She stood in studied poses. Perfect smile, hand on her hip, hair arranged. "Take another one of me?" I closed my eyes in that one. Robert took photos of her. 1, 2, 10, 20. I watched them from afar, and for the first time in years, I felt old. That night we had dinner on the porch. I had prepared squash blossom quesadillas and chicken soup with vegetables. Simpler things. I thought maybe Vivian would prefer it that way. She ate a little more than at lunch. After dinner, Robert helped me clear the dishes. Vivian remained seated, checking her phone. In the kitchen, Robert hugged me. "What do you think, Mum?" "She's very pretty, sweetie." "Right? She's the most beautiful woman I've ever met. It looks like she loves you very much. And I love her. Mum, I think she's the one. Seriously, I think she's the woman of my life." I stroked his hair like when he was a child. "Then I'm happy for you." "Really? Do you like her?" I hesitated for a second. Only 1 second. But Robert noticed it. "What is it?" "Nothing, sweetie. It's just that I barely know her. I need time." "You'll see. You're going to love her when you get to know her better. She's amazing. She's smart, hardworking. She has a lot of dreams. She wants to start her own design business. And she supports me in everything." "I'm glad, sweetie. Really." But something inside me wasn't glad. Something inside me was afraid. They stayed the night. I gave them the guest room, the one with the garden view. I put clean sheets, new towels, and fresh flowers on the nightstand. Vivian walked in and looked at everything with an evaluative expression. "Oh, Ma'am, how nice. Although it's a little hot, isn't it? There's no air conditioning." "No, honey, but you open the window and fresh air comes in, and I have a fan." "Oh, well, I guess it's just one night." Robert apologized for her with his eyes. I went to my room. I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, looking at the ceiling, listening to the crickets outside. And I remembered something my mother once told me, when I was about 20 years old, and had brought home a school friend who spent the whole time criticizing everything we had. "Mary, there are people who don't know how to be grateful, who don't know how to see what is valuable, who only see what is missing. Be careful with those people. Don't let them make you feel less than." At that moment, I didn't understand why she told me that. Now I understand. The next morning I prepared a big breakfast. Green chilaquiles, ranch-style eggs, beans, sweet rolls, coffee, freshly squeezed orange juice. Robert came down first. "Smells delicious, Mum." Sit down, sweetie. Everything's ready. Vivian came down 20 minutes later. She was wearing athletic gear, tight pants, a sports top, white sneakers, her hair pulled back in a high ponytail. Good morning, ma'am. Do you happen to have yogurt and fruit? I eat light breakfast. I have fruit, papaya, melon, watermelon. Shall I prepare you a plate? Yes, please, but not too much sugar. The fruit doesn't have added sugar, honey. It's natural. Yes, but fruit has fructose. It's sugar just the same. Robert intervened again. Vivian is very careful with her diet, Mum. She's training for a half marathon. That's great, honey. It's important to take care of yourself. I served her a plate with chopped fruit. Vivian ate with her phone in her hand, checking notifications. Robert devoured his chilaquiles. Mum, this is so good. Right, honey? Vivian looked up from her phone. What? That my mum's food is the best. Oh, yes, it's fine. She went back to her phone. After breakfast, she told me she wanted to see more of the ranch. Robert told me your dad left all this to you. It must be a lot of work to maintain, right? Yes, it's work, but I do it happily. It's my inheritance, my legacy. And how many acres are there? 150. She opened her eyes wide. 150? And it's all yours? Yes. Wow, that must be worth a lot of money. Robert became uncomfortable. Vivian, we don't talk about that. Why not? It's a normal question. Besides, someday it will be yours, won't it? I stayed silent. She continued. I was just thinking, this property has so much potential. You could turn it into a boutique hotel or an event venue. Ranches are very trendy right now for weddings. You could make a lot of money with that. This is not a ranch for events, honey. It's a home, a family house. Yes, but it can also be a business. Robert and I were talking about that. When we finish college, we could move here and start a project. Right, honey? Robert nodded, but didn't look me in the eye. And that's when I felt the first fracture. Small, almost invisible, like when a cup falls but doesn't break. It just gets a thin hairline crack that you barely notice, but it's there. And with time, that hairline crack becomes a fissure, and the fissure becomes a break, and the cup ends up in pieces. They left that Sunday afternoon. Robert gave me a long hug. Thanks for everything, Mum. For having us, for the food, for everything. You don't have to thank me, sweetie. This is your home. I know, and I know you and Vivian are going to get along great. You just need to get to know each other better. Yes, sweetie, I'm sure. Vivian kissed me on the cheek. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. We'll see you soon. And think about what I told you, okay? About the business. It really has a lot of potential. She smiled. They got into the truck. They left. I stayed standing on the porch, watching them drive away. And for the first time since Richard's death, I felt completely alone. It wasn't the loneliness of being physically alone. It was a different loneliness. The loneliness of realizing that your son no longer sees you the same way, that someone else is influencing his decisions, that things will never go back to how they were before. I went into the house. I picked up the towels they had used. I washed the dishes. I swept. I mopped. And while I was doing all that, one phrase kept running through my head. Someday it will be yours, won't it? That's what Vivian had said, as if I were already dead, as if this house were already theirs, as if I were just occupying a space that didn't belong to me. That night I sat on the porch with a cup of chamomile tea. I looked at the stars. I listened to the crickets. I felt the cool night air, and I remembered my father's words. Mary, this land is yours. Never let anyone take it from you. Not for love, not out of pity, not out of tiredness. This land is your name. It's your blood. It's who you are. I wondered if he had known that someday I would need to remember those words, if he had seen something in the future that I couldn't see yet, or if he simply knew that life always tests what we love the most. I still didn't know that Vivian would return, that Robert would start to change, that words would turn into demands, that plans would turn into pressure, that my own house would start to feel like enemy territory. I didn't know it yet. But that night, without understanding why, I cried. I cried for everything that was to come. I cried for the family we were, and for the family we would never be again. 3 months passed without seeing Robert. He called me every week. Yes, but they were short calls, rushed. Hi, Mum. How are you? Fine, sweetie. And you? Good, good. Lots of school, lots of final projects. You know. When are you coming? Soon, Mum. I promise soon. But he didn't come. And when I asked about Vivian, his voice changed. He became more animated. She's doing great. Super busy with school, too. She sends her regards. Regards. She never got on the phone herself. She never called me. But I tried not to think too much about it. Give it time, I told myself. They're young. They're busy. It's normal. I focused on the ranch work. November is harvest season. We had to pick the corn, prepare the feed for the cattle, and check the roofs before the winter rains began. I hired 2 young men from the town to help me, Ray and his cousin Jesse. Good workers. Quiet. Respectful. We got up before dawn. We worked until the sun went down. We had dinner together in the kitchen. I prepared something hearty for them because the work was hard, and then they went home to the town. The routine was good for me. It kept me busy. It helped me not to think about the fact that my son had practically disappeared from my life. Robert came back in December. He did so without warning. I was in the vegetable garden pruning the peach trees when I heard his truck engine. I took off my work gloves. I wiped the sweat from my forehead. I walked towards the entrance. Robert got out of the truck, but he didn't come alone. Vivian got out on the passenger side. My heart sank a little, although I tried not to show it. Mom! Robert hugged me. He smelled different, of expensive perfume that wasn't his. Sweetie, what a surprise. You didn't tell me you were coming. We wanted to surprise you. I pulled away from him and looked at Vivian. She was wearing a white lace dress, gold sandals, her hair loose with perfect waves. She was wearing large sunglasses that covered half her face. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. She took off her glasses. And that's when I saw the ring. A diamond. Big, shiny, on her left hand. Mum, Robert said, taking Vivian's hand. We have something to tell you. My stomach tightened. Vivian and I are getting married. The world stopped for a second. Only 1 second. But it stopped. Oh, sweetie. What news? Aren't you happy? Of course I am. It's just that you caught me by surprise. Vivian smiled broadly. I was surprised too. Robert proposed to me a week ago. It was super romantic. He took me out to dinner at a restaurant on a hotel rooftop. There were candles, live music, everything. And when they brought the dessert, the ring was there in a glass of champagne. She spoke quickly, excited. Robert looked at her as if she were the only thing in the world. Congratulations, I said. Congratulations to both of you. I hugged them. First Robert, then Vivian. She felt stiff in my arms, as if hugging wasn't something that came naturally to her. "Come in. I'll prepare something to eat." "No, Mum. We came to invite you out to eat. To the restaurant in town. To celebrate." "To the restaurant?" "Yes. We want to celebrate with you." It was strange. We never went to restaurants. We always ate at home. But I didn't say anything. "Okay, let me change." I put on my navy blue dress again, the one I wore on Sundays. I brushed my hair. I put a little powder on my face and a touch of pale pink lipstick that I almost never used. When I went downstairs, Vivian looked me up and down. She didn't say anything, but her expression said everything. We went to the only halfway decent restaurant in town, the Inn of Don Joe. A touristy place, with red and white checkered tablecloths, cowboy hats on the walls, and a country band that played on weekends. It was Friday. There was a country band. We sat at a table by the window. The waiter came immediately. He had known Robert since he was a child. "Mr. Robert, how good to see you, and Mrs. Johnson, how are you?" "Fine, Tony, thanks. What can I get you to drink?" Robert ordered a beer. Vivian ordered a margarita. I ordered an horchata. Vivian took out her phone and started taking photos. Of the place, of her ring, of her and Robert together. "Honey, take a picture of me with the country band in the background. It'll look gorgeous for Instagram." Robert took the photo. Then he ordered food. I ordered some Swiss enchiladas. Robert ordered a steak plate. Vivian ordered a Caesar salad. But no croutons, no Parmesan cheese, and with the dressing on the side, please. The waiter nodded, confused. When he left, Robert took my hand. "Mum, I know this is fast, but when you know it's the right person, you just know. And Vivian is the right person. When are you planning to get married?" "In June, after we graduate." "So soon?" Vivian intervened. "We want to start our life together as soon as possible. We already have a lot of plans. We're going to rent a small apartment in Houston while we find something better. Robert is going to look for a job in his field at some company. I'm going to open my design business. And then later on, well, we'll see." "Later on, what?" They looked at each other. Robert spoke. "Well, we thought maybe we could move to the ranch. Not right away, but in a few years, when we have everything more established." There it was again, that idea, moving to the ranch. "The ranch is your home, sweetie. It always has been. You can come whenever you want." "Yes, but we're talking about moving in, living there, doing projects, modernizing things a bit." "Modernizing?" Vivian got excited. "Yes, Mum. The ranch is beautiful, but it needs a lot of improvements. For example, the bathrooms are very old. They could be remodeled. And the kitchen, too. We could put in an island, new appliances, porcelain tile floors. And the porch would be amazing with some modern outdoor furniture, like wicker or something." She talked as if it were already hers, as if I were no longer there. "The ranch is fine as it is," I said. "It's a traditional house. It doesn't need to be modern." "Oh, ma'am, but things change. Everything is more functional, more practical now. And besides, if we want to start a business there, it has to look good. It has to be Instagram-worthy." "I don't want to start a business." Silence. Robert squeezed my hand. "Mum, they're just ideas. Nothing is certain. It's still a long way off." "Yes," Vivian said. "They're just ideas." But her tone said something else. It said, "This is going to happen, whether you like it or not." The food arrived. We ate in an awkward silence. Well, they ate. I just moved the food around on my plate. Suddenly I wasn't hungry anymore. The country band came over to our table. "A song for the happy couple?" Robert smiled. Yes, play I Will Always Love You. A knot formed in my throat. That was Richard's favourite song, the one we sang together at parties, the one we played at his funeral. The band began to play. If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go. But I know. I'll think of you every step of the way. Robert hugged Vivian. She rested her head on his shoulder. They looked happy, in love. And I, sitting across from them, felt completely out of place, like a stranger in my own son's life. When the song ended, Robert paid the band $500. I had never seen Robert spend so much money on something like that. Where did you get that $500, son? From work, Mum. I'm tutoring younger students. They pay me well. Ah, that's good. But something didn't add up. Robert had never been good at saving money. It always went on going out. Gas, meals with friends. Where had he gotten the money for a diamond ring? For expensive meals? For country bands? I didn't ask. I didn't want to seem nosy. I didn't want Robert to think I doubted him. So I kept quiet. I always kept quiet. After lunch, we went to the ranch. Vivian wanted to show Robert some ideas she had. They walked all over the house with a notebook and a pen. Vivian was writing things down. Here we could knock down this wall and make it a whole open-plan space. This room would be perfect for a master suite with a walk-in closet and full bathroom. And this bedroom? Oh, this would be ideal for the baby's room. She stopped. She looked at me. She smiled. Someday, right, ma'am? Someday. Someday, I repeated, but my voice sounded hollow. Robert was excited. Vivian has a really good eye, Mum. She's a designer. She knows about this. Yes, sweetie, I see. I followed behind them like a ghost, watching them plan changes in my own house, watching them imagine a future where I was clearly not included. Or worse, where I was only included as an annoyance, as an obstacle, as someone to be tolerated until… I didn't want to finish that thought. They stayed the night again. This time Vivian didn't complain about the heat or the fan. This time she walked into the guest room as if it were hers. That night, when everyone was asleep, I went out onto the porch. I sat in my rocking chair, the same rocking chair where my mother used to sit to knit, the same one where my father sat to smoke his cigar after dinner, the same one where I sat to rock Robert when he was a baby. I looked at the moon. It was almost full, silver, beautiful, and I thought about all the times my mother warned me about letting myself be trampled, about not saying what I felt, about holding things in so as not to make waves. Mary, you're always so quiet, so long-suffering. One day you're going to get tired of enduring, and it will be too late. But I didn't know how not to endure. I didn't know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to say, I don't like this. This hurts me. This is hurting me. My whole life had been like that. Quiet, obedient, compliant. First with my father, because he was my father and fathers are respected. Then with Richard, because he was my husband and husbands are supported. Now with Robert, because he was my son and sons are sacred. But me? When did I respect myself? When did I support myself? When was I sacred? I didn't have an answer. So I did what I always did. I swallowed everything, smiled, and endured. The next morning, I prepared breakfast. Mexican-style eggs, beans, biscuits, coffee. Robert came down first. He looked happy, rested. Good morning, Mum. Good morning, sweetie. Did you sleep well? Super well, like I always do here. He sat down at the table. I served his plate. Mum, I want to ask you something. Tell me. Vivian and I were talking, and we would like to have the wedding here, at the ranch. I stopped dead in my tracks. Here? Yes, it would be perfect. Outdoors, in the garden, with the mountains in the background. It would be a beautiful wedding. Sweetie, a wedding is a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of people. I know, but it wouldn't be until June. We have time to prepare everything, and Vivian is willing to help with the planning. In fact, she's already super excited about the idea. You already proposed it to her? Yes, last night. She loved the idea. So he wasn't asking me, he was informing me. They had already decided. Robert, I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because this house isn't prepared for big events, because the dirt road gets really bad when it rains, because there aren't enough bathrooms, because… Mum, please, it's my wedding. It's the only thing I'll ever ask of you. Just this one day. Just this one day. As if I were the one making things difficult. As if I were the one unfairly denying something. How many guests would there be? Around 200. 200? Yes. Family, friends, classmates of Vivian's and mine. You know. I didn't know. I didn't know any of those people. Sweetie, Mum, please. I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot to me, to us. He looked at me with those eyes, the same eyes he made when he was 5 years old and wanted me to buy him candy at the store. The same eyes he made when he was 10 years old and wanted me to let him sleep over at a friend's house. The same eyes that always, always convinced me. I sighed. Okay. Seriously? Yes, you can have the wedding here. Robert got up and hugged me tight. Thank you, Mum. Thank you. You won't regret it. It's going to be the most beautiful wedding you've ever seen. Vivian came downstairs at that moment. Did you tell her already? Yes. She said yes. Vivian shrieked with excitement. She ran towards me and hugged me. Oh, Mrs. Johnson, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I promise you it's going to be incredible. It's going to be a day we'll never forget. I smiled. But inside, something broke a little more. That crack that had started months ago became deeper, and I didn't even notice it. Or maybe I did notice it, but I didn't want to see it, because if I saw it, I would have to do something. And doing something meant confrontation, and confrontation meant losing my son. So I did what I always did. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. While I'm telling all this, I wonder what you would have done in my place. Would you have said no to your son? Would you have set boundaries from the beginning? Or would you have done the same as me? Endure, give in, swallow, until you couldn't anymore. Write to me in the comments. I really want to know. Because I still wonder if I did the right thing, or if I should have said no that day, if I should have stopped everything before it was too late. But I didn't. And what came next? What happened in those months leading up to the wedding? That's when I really started to open my eyes. The months that followed were crazy. Vivian came to the ranch every 2 weeks, always with new ideas, always with plans, always with lists. Mrs. Johnson, we need to hire someone to completely clean up the garden, to prune all the trees, to remove the weeds, to paint the benches. Mrs. Johnson, we have to fix the dirt road. Put down gravel at least. The guests can't arrive with their cars dirty. Mrs. Johnson, the bathrooms need urgent remodeling. At least the toilets need to be replaced and more modern sinks installed. Mrs. Johnson this, Mrs. Johnson that. Never Mrs. Mary with respect. Never, what do you think? With consideration. Always orders disguised as suggestions. And Robert, always on her side. Mum, Vivian is right. We have to fix things. It's our wedding. We want everything to look nice. Our wedding, as if I wasn't part of that hour. I started hiring people, gardeners, masons, painters, plumbers. I spent money I hadn't planned to spend. Money from my savings, from selling cattle, from the little income left from the harvest. Also, the ranch would look presentable for Vivian's guests. For people I didn't know. For people who didn't care. One afternoon in February, Vivian arrived with a huge folder. "Ma'am, I came to show you the wedding plan." We sat at the dining table. She opened the folder. There were photos of other weddings, drawings, diagrams, lists of vendors. "Look, here we're going to put the main tent, white, with chiffon fabrics hanging from the ceiling. The tables go here, 12 in total, with ivory tablecloths and centerpieces with roses and hydrangeas. The altar will be here, in front of the rose bushes. We're going to put up a natural flower arch, and here, on this side, the dance floor." She pointed to places in my garden as if it were a chessboard. "And the band?" "There won't be a band. There will be a DJ. A band is very tacky." Tacky. My wedding had a band. My parents' wedding had a band. All the weddings I knew had a band. But I didn't say anything. "And the food?" "Oh, that's the best part. I hired a catering service from Houston, super elegant. They're going to do a 3-course dinner. Appetizer, main course, and dessert. All gourmet." "Gourmet?" "Yes, no barbecue or chili or those heavy things. It's going to be fine dining. Beef carpaccio, salmon with risotto, things like that." "Vivian, people here don't like that kind of food. They're used to something else." "That's why, Mom, we have to educate their palate, let them experience new things." Educate their palate, as if the food of my land was inferior, as if what I had cooked all my life was worthless. "And how much does all this cost?" Vivian smiled. "Don't worry about that. Robert and I are going to pay for most of it. We just need you to provide the ranch and maybe help with some small expenses, like renting the chairs, the tables, things like that." "How much is that?" "Around $50,000. The air went out of me. $50,000. That was what I earned in 6 months of hard work. "Vivian, I don't have $50,000. Her smile froze. "What do you mean, you don't?" "I don't have it. The ranch doesn't bring in that much money. It barely covers expenses." "But Robert told me you had savings." "I have savings, yes. But they're for emergencies, for the veterinarian, for repairs." "Ma'am, your son's wedding is an emergency." The way she said it. Cold, hard, as if I was being selfish. "I'll see what I can do," I finally said. "Thank you, Mom. I knew we could count on you." She got up, gathered her folder, and left. She didn't even stay for a cup of coffee. She didn't even ask how I was. She just came to ask for money. That night, I called Robert. "Sweetie, I need to talk to you." "Tell me, Mom, but make it quick because I'm heading out with Vivian." "It's about the wedding. Vivian says they need $50,000 from me." "Oh, yeah, those are expenses we can't cover ourselves. But it's not that much, Mum. You have your savings." "Those savings are for emergencies, Robert." "This is an emergency. It's my wedding. I'm only getting married once." "But, sweetie..." "Mum, please don't do this to me. Don't make me feel guilty for wanting to have a nice wedding. Vivian is already super stressed with everything. I don't want her to think my family doesn't support her." "Your family? As if I were the enemy." "Okay, sweetie. I'll see what I can do." "Thanks, Mum. I knew I could count on you. I love you very much." He hung up. I was left with the phone in my hand, and I cried. I cried because I was giving everything. My house, my money, my peace. and yet I felt like it wasn't enough. The following week, I went to the bank. I withdrew $50,000 from my savings. I watched my account drop almost to zero. I gave the money to Vivian. She didn't even thank me. She just said, "Perfect. Now we can move forward with everything." And she continued checking her phone. March arrived with a lot of work. The gardeners came every day. They cut down trees that had been there since before I was born. They uprooted flowers that my mother had planted. They put in new grass that wasn't native to the region and needed a lot of water. The masons remodeled the bathrooms. They tore out the old tiles that my father had put in with his own hands. They put in cold, white, personalityless ceramic tile. The painters painted the entire house. Vivian chose the colors. White. Everything white. "It's more elegant," she said. The walls that had been mustard, terracotta, and sky blue were now white. The ranch no longer looked like the ranch. It looked like a hotel. Cold, impersonal, perfect for Instagram. But it was no longer my home. One day in April, while the painters were working, I decided to go to town. I needed to get out of there. I needed air. I needed to be away from the noise, the sawdust, the smell of paint. I went to Mrs. Lupe's fabric store, a small store that sold a little bit of everything. I had known Lupe since I was a child. She was my mother's friend. "Mary, what a miracle to see you here." "Oh, Lupe, I'm running away from my own house." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "I heard your son is getting married. How exciting. And how is everything?" "Well, we're getting there, with a lot of preparations." Lupe looked at me intently. "And how are you?" Something in her tone disarmed me. It wasn't gossipy curiosity. It was genuine concern. "Tired," I admitted. "You look tired. Sit down. I'll make you a coffee." I sat on an old chair next to the counter. Lupe brought me a hot, sweet coffee with a touch of cinnamon. "Have you gotten to know the girl well?" "Yes. Vivian is different." "Different good or different bad?" I didn't know how to answer. Lupe sat next to me. "Look, Mary, I don't get involved in anyone's life, but I've known you since you were a little girl, and I see you worried, sad, like you're carrying something very heavy. It's just, I don't know, Lupe. I feel like I don't recognize my son anymore. I feel like that girl changed him. Or maybe he was always like that, and you didn't want to see it." Her words hit me like cold water. "What do you mean?" "That sometimes we give our children so much that they get used to it. They think everything belongs to them, that everything is owed to them. And when you don't give them what they want, they get angry, as if you were the bad guy." I looked down. Lupe was right. "You know what my mother told me when I got married?" she continued. "She told me, 'Lupe, don't lose yourself in marriage. Don't become so much a wife, so much a mother, so much a daughter-in-law that you forget who you are.' And I didn't listen to her. I lost myself. I became everything for everyone. And when I wanted to recover myself, it was too late. I got divorced. My children barely talk to me. And here I am, alone, in this store." She took my hand. "Don't do the same, Mary. Don't lose yourself." We sat in silence, drinking coffee. Two tired women, two women who had given too much. When I returned to the ranch, it was almost night. I saw movement in the house, lights on in places where lights shouldn't be. I went inside. Robert and Vivian were in the master bedroom. My bedroom. They had boxes. They were packing things. "What are you doing?" Robert turned around. "Oh, Mom, we were just about to talk to you about this." "About what?" Vivian spoke. "Mum, This bedroom is the largest one, the one with the best view, and we thought it would be perfect for the bridal suite. Bridal suite? Yes. On the wedding day, Robert and I are going to stay here, and later, when we come to visit, this will be our bedroom. This is my bedroom. I know, Mom. That's why we're packing your things. We can move them to the room next door. It's smaller, but it's still fine. Besides, you don't need that much space. I froze. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Robert, do you agree with this? My son wouldn't look me in the eye. Mom, it's just a bedroom. It's not a big deal. It's not just a bedroom. It's the bedroom where your father was born, where my parents died, where I've slept all my life. Mom, please don't be dramatic. Dramatic? Get out of my bedroom, both of you, now. My voice came out louder than I expected. Vivian was startled. Robert became serious. Mum, out. Leave my things where they are and get out of here. Vivian grabbed her purse. Whatever you say, Mom, but I don't understand why you're getting so upset. We're just trying to help. She left the room. Robert stayed standing in front of me. Why did you talk to her like that? Because she's going too far, Robert, and you're letting her. It's called making compromises, Mum. Giving in, sharing. I have given in. I have shared. I have given everything I have. And what have I received in return? Nothing. Only demands. Demands? I'm asking you to let me use a bedroom. It's not just the bedroom, Robert. It's everything. It's my house. It's my money. It's my life. Everyone is taking it. No one is taking anything from you. You're exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. I'm opening my eyes. We stared at each other. For the first time in months, I held my son's gaze. And what I saw there frightened me. I didn't see the child I held in my arms. I didn't see the teenager who hugged me before going to school. I saw a man who no longer recognized me, who no longer respected me, who only saw me as an obstacle. Robert left the room without saying anything else. I heard the front door open and close. I heard the truck engine start. I heard them drive away. And I sat on my bed. My bed. In my bedroom. And I cried like I hadn't cried in years. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed awake, looking at the ceiling, thinking about everything. About how I had gotten here. About how I had allowed this to happen. About all the times I said yes when I wanted to say no. About all the times I swallowed my anger to keep the peace. About all the times I made myself small so that others could feel big. And I understood something. I understood that my silence hadn't bought peace. It had bought my own destruction. The next morning, I found something. I was cleaning the living room when I saw Vivian's notebook. She had forgotten it when they rushed out. It was open on the dining room table. I didn't want to read it. It wasn't right. But something pulled me. I walked closer. And I read. Post-wedding change list. 1. Complete kitchen remodel. 2. Knock down wall between living room and dining room. 3. Build swimming pool in the backyard. 4. Change all the flooring in the house. 5. Sell cattle and convert stables into lofts for rent. 6. Talk to lawyers about the deed. The deed. The word hit me. They wanted the deed. They wanted me to put the property in Robert's name. Or worse, in both their names. I kept reading. There was another page. Year 1 budget. Complete remodel, $800,000. Construction of tourist cabins, $1.5 million. Marketing and advertising, $200,000. Total, $2.5 million. Funding sources. Sale of current cattle and machinery, $300,000. Bank loan with ranch as collateral, $2 million. Personal savings, $200,000. Bank loan with the ranch as collateral. They wanted to mortgage my property. They wanted to risk the land my family had cared for generations, to start a tourist business. Without asking me, without considering me. Because to them, I was already dead, or at least I no longer mattered. I closed the notebook. My hands were trembling. My heart was beating so hard I felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. And right there, in that moment, something changed inside me. It wasn't a dramatic change. It wasn't an explosion. It was something quieter, deeper. It was the realization that I couldn't go on like this anymore. That if I didn't do something, they were going to take everything from me. Not just the ranch. Also, my dignity, my identity, my reason for existing. I grabbed the notebook. I hid it in my bedroom, in the drawer where I keep important documents. The property deed, my father's will, the birth certificates. And I waited. I waited for Robert to come back. I waited for Vivian to come for her notebook. I waited with the cold certainty that now I knew. I knew what they wanted. I knew how far they were willing to go. And I knew I had to defend myself, because no one else was going to do it for me. Robert returned 3 days later. He came alone, without Vivian. He arrived as if nothing had happened, as if we hadn't fought, as if he hadn't told me I was exaggerating. "Hello, Mum." I was in the kitchen preparing beans. I didn't look up. "Hello, are you still mad?" "Still, I'm not mad, Robert. I'm disappointed." "Mum, come on. Don't be like that. I came to apologize." Now I looked at him. He was wearing a new shirt. Expensive. One of those sold in the malls in Houston. Leather shoes. A watch I hadn't seen before. "Where did you get the money for those clothes?" He became uncomfortable. "Vivian gave them to me. For the wedding. She wants me to look good." "Ah." I continued stirring the beans. Robert sat at the table. "Mum, I know things have been tense. I know Vivian is sometimes intense. But she does it because she wants everything to be perfect. Because she loves me. Because she wants to build a future with me." "A future where?" "What? Where do you want to build that future? Here? On the ranch?" "Well, eventually, yes. We already told you." "Eventually, and what about me?" "You're still here, Mum. No one is kicking you out, but you're displacing me." "We're not displacing you, we're just adapting things, modernizing, so we can all live comfortably." "Robert," I said, pointing to the drawer, "I have Vivian's notebook." He turned pale. "What notebook?" "The one she forgot here. The one with all her plans, her lists, her budgets." He fell silent. "I saw everything, sweetie. I saw that you want to mortgage the ranch, that you want to sell the cattle, that you want to change everything." "Mum, they're just ideas, future plans. Nothing is decided." "Nothing is decided? You have budgets, you have dates, you have funding sources. That doesn't sound like ideas. It sounds like decisions." He ran his hand through his hair, nervous. "Okay, yes, we do have plans. Plans to start a business here. But it's for the best. So the ranch generates money. So you don't have to work so hard. So we can all have a better life." "I don't want a better life, Robert. I want my life. The one I've built. The one I inherited from my father. The one I've taken care of all these years. And haven't you thought about me? About my future?" I don't want to live off the land. I don't want to spend my life planting corn and taking care of cows. I went to college. I have other goals. Then go and pursue them, but not with my property. It's my inheritance, Mum. There it was. The truth. What had always been underneath everything. Your inheritance, I repeated slowly. Is that what I am to you? An obstacle between you and your inheritance? I didn't say that. You just did. Robert stood up. He paced back and forth across the kitchen. Mum, you don't understand. Vivian and I have dreams. We want to do big things. And this ranch can be the beginning. But you're clinging to everything as if the world hasn't changed. This is the 21st century. Things aren't done the way your dad did them anymore. My dad did things with dignity, with respect, without owing anything to anyone. And he died with nothing. He died with a property that barely made ends meet. Those words cut through me like knives. Your grandfather died with honor, with his land free, with his name held high. He didn't owe any bank. He didn't depend on any business. He didn't have to smile at tourists to eat. Well, I don't want to live like that. I want more. More what, Robert? More money? More things? At what cost? At whatever cost is necessary. We stared at each other, and in that moment I saw it clearly. My son was no longer my son. He was another person, someone I didn't know, someone I hadn't raised. Or maybe I had. Maybe I had raised him exactly like this, giving him everything, asking for nothing, not teaching him the value of sacrifice, not showing him that important things are earned, not inherited. Maybe this monster in front of me was my fault. Go away, I told him. What? Go away. Get out of my house. Mom. Go away, Robert. Go with Vivian. Go pursue your dreams. But without me. Without my land. Without my blessing. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. Robert grabbed his keys. You're making a mistake. You're pushing us away. And when you realize you were wrong, it's going to be too late. Maybe, but it will be my mistake. My decision, not yours. He stormed out, slamming the door. The silence that remained afterward was deafening. I sat down at the kitchen table. The beans had run out of water. They were stuck to the bottom of the pot. Ruined, like everything else. No one came that night. Robert didn't call. Vivian didn't call. Nothing. I stayed sitting on the porch, my shawl over my shoulders, looking at the stars. And I thought about my father, about what he told me on my 15th birthday. We were riding horses, touring the property lines. He on his brown mare, I on my spotted horse. Mary, he said, someday all this will be yours, and it will be difficult, because people will want to take it from you. Some with bad intentions, others with good intentions. But in the end, everyone will want your land, and you have to be strong. You have to know how to say no, even if it hurts, even if it costs you. Because if you lose this land, you lose your history, you lose who you are. At that moment, I was 15. I didn't understand anything. I thought my dad was exaggerating. Now I was 58, and I understood perfectly. The following days were strange. I continued with my routine. I got up at dawn. I fed the animals. I watered the vegetable garden. I cooked. I cleaned. But everything felt empty. There were no workers fixing things. There were no tents or decorators. There was no Vivian giving orders. There was no Robert. Just me. Alone. Again. A week after the fight, I received a call. It was a number I didn't know. I answered. Mrs. Mary Johnson? Yes, that's me. This is Attorney Alan Willis from the law firm Smith and Associates. I am calling on behalf of Robert Johnson and Vivian Sanchez. My blood ran cold. What do you want? Mr. Johnson and Ms. Sanchez have hired me to initiate a legal process for an accelerated distribution of the inheritance. As we are informed, you are the owner of a 150-acre ranch in High Point. Accelerated distribution? What does that mean? It means that your son is requesting that the part of the inheritance that corresponds to him be granted to him in advance. That's ridiculous. My son has no inheritance while I am alive. Ma'am, I understand your annoyance, but you don't understand anything. Tell my son that if he wants something from me, he should come and tell me to my face. I don't negotiate through lawyers. Mum, I suggest you also hire legal representation. This could. I hung up. My hands were shaking. My own son was suing me. He was taking me to court for my own land. That afternoon I went to town. I looked for the only lawyer I knew, Mr. Miles, an older man who had helped my father with some paperwork years ago. I told him everything. He listened to me in silence, taking notes occasionally. When I finished, he sighed. Mrs. Johnson, legally your son doesn't have much of a case. The property is in your name. You have no obligation to distribute anything while you are alive. And according to what you tell me, the deed is clear. Everything is yours. So he can't take anything from me? He can't take the property from you, but he can make your life impossible. He can initiate lawsuits that drag on for years. He can make you spend money on lawyers. He can wear you down emotionally. And what can I do? 2 things. First, don't sign anything. Nothing. Even if Robert comes crying, begging, threatening, do not sign any document. Second, make a will. A clear, specific one, where you decide exactly what happens to the property when you're gone. I already have a will. My dad made it when he died. That will says everything is for me and then for Robert. But you can change it. You can put conditions. You can even leave it to someone else if you decide. The idea surprised me. Leave it to someone else? Who? I had no other children. I had no siblings. My parents were dead. Richard was dead. Only Robert was left. But did that Robert deserve my land? Think about it, Mrs. Johnson. And in the meantime, we'll respond to that lawyer. We'll make it very clear that there is nothing to distribute here. I left the office with an enormous weight on my chest. I walked aimlessly through the town streets. I passed through the square. There were children playing, couples walking hand in hand, families sitting on benches eating snow cones. Everyone seemed happy, everyone but me. I sat on a bench under a laurel tree, and I cried. I cried because my son had betrayed me. I cried because the family I had built was falling apart. I cried because I was tired. So tired. An older woman sat down next to me. She didn't say anything. She just pulled a clean handkerchief from her purse and gave it to me. "Thank you," I whispered. "You're welcome, honey. Whatever it is, it will pass. Everything passes." "I don't know if this will pass." "Everything passes. The good and the bad. That's life." She sat next to me for a while longer, in silence, just keeping me company. When she got up to leave, she said, "You are not alone, honey. Even if you feel like it, you are not alone." She left. I never knew her name, but her words stayed with me. You are not alone. That night, back at the ranch, I took out the property deed. I placed it on the dining room table. I read it completely. Every word, every clause. It was all there, my family's history, the names of my great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father, and now mine. 4 generations caring for this land, working it, loving it, defending it. And now was I going to be the one to lose it? The one to hand it over to someone who only saw a business in it? No, it wasn't going to happen. I grabbed the deed. I put it in a safe I had bought that afternoon. A small, metal safe with a combination. I hid it in my bedroom closet, behind the old sheets, where no one would think to look. And I swore to myself, no one is going to take this from me. No one. 2 weeks later, the wedding date arrived. June. The month Robert and Vivian had chosen. But there was no wedding, not on my ranch, not with my blessing. Robert called me only once. "Mum, you still have time to fix this, to be reasonable. The wedding is in 2 weeks. We can forget everything that happened, start over." Forget that you sued me? Mum, that was Vivian's lawyer's idea. I didn't want it to come to that. But you let it come to that, because you didn't give me a choice. There are always choices, Robert. You chose the worst one. So there won't be a wedding? Not in my house. Fine. Then we'll have it somewhere else. And you're not invited. He hung up. I didn't cry. I had no tears left. The day that would have been the wedding, I stayed home. Alone. I made chicken soup. Just for me. I sat on the porch. I ate slowly. Looking at the garden they had fixed up for a wedding that was never held here. And I wondered if I had done the right thing. If my dignity was worth losing my son. If defending my land was worth being completely alone. I didn't have an answer. I only had silence. And the cold certainty that things would never go back to how they were before. I still wonder if I did the right thing. If I should have given in one more time. If I should have signed the papers they wanted. If I should have let them take what was mine just to maintain the peace. And you? What would you have done in my place? Would you have defended what was yours, even if it cost you everything? Or would you have given in so as not to be left alone? Write to me. I need to know. Because what happened next, what I discovered in the following months, made me understand that this fight was only beginning and that there were much worse things waiting for me. 3 months passed without hearing anything from Robert. 3 months of silence. Not one call, not one text, nothing. It was as if he had died, or as if I had died to him. I continued with my life, with my routine, getting up early, taking care of the animals, working the land, cooking for myself alone, sleeping alone. But everything felt hollow, like when you walk through an empty house and your steps sound too loud. That's how my life was. Too quiet, too empty. In September, Mrs. Lupe came to visit me. She brought sweet rolls and coffee. She sat with me on the porch. "How are you, Mary?" "Here, surviving." "Did you hear?" "Hear what?" "That Robert got married." My heart stopped. "He got married?" "Yes, 2 weeks ago. It was a big wedding, at an event venue in Houston. The rumor spread all the way here." "And how did you find out?" "My niece works there, at the event venue. She showed me photos." She took out her phone. She showed me. There was Robert. He was wearing a grey suit. He looked handsome, happy, smiling. And next to him, Vivian, with a huge white dress, long veil, bouquet of white roses. Perfect. There were more photos. The ceremony, the guests, the cake, the party, everything that would have been on my ranch. But it wasn't. It was somewhere else. Without me. "I'm sorry, Mary." I thought you should know. Thank you, Lupe. I kept looking at the photos. My son had gotten married, and I wasn't there. He didn't invite me. He didn't look for me. He didn't care. Lupe took my hand. It's not your fault. Then whose fault is it? His, hers, life's. I don't know, but it's not your fault. We sat in silence, drinking coffee, eating sweet rolls. Two women who had lost too much. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed awake, looking at the photos over and over again. Robert looked so happy, so complete, as if he lacked nothing, as if he didn't lack me. And I wondered, when did I stop being important to him? Was it when he met Vivian? Was it when he went off to college? Was it when his father died? Or was he always like this and I didn't want to see it? Maybe my son never needed me as much as I thought. Maybe I was the one who clung, the one who didn't know how to let go, the one who made her son her whole life. And when he wanted to have his own life, I didn't know where to stand. In October, the first letter from the bank arrived. It was a white envelope, formal, with the Bank of America logo. I opened it. Dear Mrs. Johnson, we hereby inform you that a process for a mortgage loan application has been initiated on the property located at... I read the rest with trembling hands. Robert had applied for a loan using the ranch as collateral. $2 million. The bank was requesting my signature as the legal owner. If I didn't sign within 30 days, the bank would proceed to... I didn't finish reading. I called Mr. Miles. Mrs. Johnson, this is serious. Do not sign anything. Absolutely nothing. But we need to act fast. What do I do? We are going to send a letter to the bank, notifying them that you did not authorize that application, that the property is not available as collateral, and we are going to initiate a process of asset protection. What is that? It's a legal lock, so that no one can do anything with your property without your consent. Neither sell it, nor mortgage it, nor transfer it. Do it. Do whatever is necessary. 2 weeks later, Robert showed up at the ranch. He arrived in the afternoon, alone, without Vivian. He was wearing jeans and a white shirt. He looked tired with dark circles under his eyes. He knocked on the door. I was in the kitchen. I heard the knocking but didn't move. He knocked again. Mum, I know you're there. I need to talk to you. I waited. Please, Mum, just 5 minutes. I opened the door. We stared at each other. He looked different, thinner, paler, as if he wasn't sleeping well. Come in. We went inside. We sat in the living room. The silence was heavy. I came to apologize, he finally said. I didn't answer. Mum, I know I messed up. I know I did things wrong. I know I hurt you. Then why did you do it? Because Vivian convinced me it was the best thing, that you were being unfair, that you were clinging to something that no longer belonged to you. And what did you think? I didn't know what to think. I was confused. Vivian was very insistent. She said that if I really loved you, I had to help you, that I had to save you from yourself. Save me from myself? I repeated the words slowly. Yes. She said you were killing yourself working, that the ranch was a burden, that you deserved to rest, and that the only way for you to rest was for me to take control. Take control of my life? She didn't put it that way, but yes, basically that. And you believed her? Yes, I believed her. Why? Because it was easier to believe her than to confront you. Finally, the truth. Robert, your wife doesn't want to help me. She wants me out. She wants my land. She wants to turn this into a business, and you know it. I know. Then why are you still with her? He ran his hands over his face. Because I love her, Mum. Because she's my wife. Because I made a commitment. And your commitment to me, the one you made when you were born, doesn't that count? It's not the same. You're right. It's not the same. I gave you life. She just gave you a ring. Robert looked down. I came to ask you to sign. What? The bank papers. We need that loan, Mum. We need the money to start the business, to make something of our lives. You're going to make that business with my property. It's my inheritance. Not while I'm alive. Then what do you want me to do? To sit idly by? To do nothing with my life? To wait for you to die so I can live? Those words. Those damned words. Get out of my house. Mum. Get out. Now. Mum, please, just think about it. Think about… Out! I shouted so loud that even I was startled. Robert stood up. He walked towards the door. Before leaving, he turned around. I'm going to fight this, Mum. Legally. With everything I have. Because that land is mine too. None of it is yours. None of this is yours. The only thing you had was my love, and you destroyed that. No, you destroyed that when you decided that the land was more important than me. He left. The door closed, and I stood there, standing in the middle of my living room, trembling, crying, breaking. That night was the longest of my life. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I didn't do anything. I just sat in my rocking chair on the porch. And I cried. I cried for everything. For my son, who was no longer my son. For the family that was broken. For the years I dedicated to caring for him, loving him, protecting him. For the sleepless nights when he was sick. For the times I went without food so he wouldn't lack anything. For all the love I gave. And that was now worth nothing. In November, Robert's lawyer sent another letter. This time it was a formal lawsuit. They were requesting that my mental incapacity to administer the property be declared. They said I was senile, that I made irrational decisions, that I was putting the family assets at risk. Mr. Miles was furious. This is an outrage. They have no legal basis, but they are going to make you have to undergo medical exams, psychological evaluations. They will try to prove that you are not in your right mind. Let them. Let them do what they want. I know who I am. Mrs. Johnson, this is not a game. If a judge determines that you cannot manage your assets, they will appoint a guardian for you. And that guardian will probably be Robert. Can they do that? Yes, if they can prove cause, but I'm perfectly fine. I know and will prove it. But it will be a long process. Difficult. Tiring. I don't care. I'm going to fight. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. December arrived cold. Colder than normal. The nights were freezing. I had to sleep with 2 blankets. The days were grey, cloudy, as if even the sky was sad. I was still alone. Ray and Jessie still helped me with the ranch work. But at the end of the day, they went home, and I was left alone again. Mrs. Lupe came to visit me when she could. She brought me food, company, kind words. But it wasn't enough. Nothing was enough to fill the void Robert had left. December 24th was Christmas Eve. I always spent that night with Robert, since he was a child. We had dinner together, roast turkey, mashed potatoes, apple cider. We put up the nativity scene. We went to the midnight mass. But not this year. That year I stayed alone. I prepared a small dinner, just for me. A piece of turkey, a little salad, a glass of cider. I sat at the table. I placed an extra plate across from me. The place where Robert always sat. I looked at it. Empty, like my life. And in that moment, something broke inside me. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a loud cry. It was something deeper. It was acceptance. Acceptance that I had lost my son, that the family I had built no longer existed, that everything I loved was gone, and that I had to learn to live with it. That night, after dinner, I went out to the yard. I looked at the stars. They were bright, clear, beautiful, and I spoke to my father. Dad, I don't know if I did right. I don't know if defending this land was worth losing everything else. But it's the only thing I know how to do. The only thing you taught me. Not to let myself be beaten down. Not to give away what is mine. To have dignity, even if it hurts. The wind blew softly, as if it were an answer. I hope you are proud of me, because I don't know if I am. I went into the house. I locked all the doors. I turned off all the lights as I got into my bed. My bed. In my bedroom. In my house. On my land. And even though I was completely alone, even though I had lost everything I loved, even though my heart was broken into 1,000 pieces, at least I still had my dignity. At least no one had taken that from me. At least I knew who I was, and that in the midst of all the darkness was something. It was the only thing I had left, but it was something. What I didn't know that night, what I couldn't imagine, was that life had a very particular way of serving justice, that the things Robert and Vivian did to me, the lies, the betrayals, the attempts to steal from me, were going to come back to them in ways they never expected, because life always collects its debts. Always. January arrived with a strange clarity, like when a storm passes and the air smells different, cleaner, fresher. I felt different too. I was no longer angry. I was no longer sad. I was at peace, a cold peace, yes, but peace nonetheless. I made a decision. I went to Mr. Miles. I want to change my will. Are you sure? Completely. I sat across from him. I took out a paper where I had written everything in my own handwriting. The ranch is not going to Robert. The lawyer raised his eyebrows. And who will it go to? To a foundation, one that cares for historical properties, that keeps them as they are, that doesn't turn them into businesses. Mrs. Johnson, I don't want my land to become a hotel. I don't want them to destroy it. I'd rather it belong to no one than to someone who doesn't respect it. Can Robert fight that? Let him fight. But he won't win, because the property is mine, and I decide. The lawyer nodded slowly. Very well. We'll do it. February. Robert found out. I don't know how. Maybe his lawyer investigated. Maybe someone told him. But he found out. He arrived at the ranch furious, this time with Vivian. They knocked on the door. They banged. They shouted. Mom, open up! We need to talk. I was inside, calm, drinking coffee. I didn't open it. Mom, I know you're there. Open the damn door. Vivian shouted too. Mom, you can't do this. It's illegal. That property belongs to Robert. I peered through the window. I saw them there, desperate, furious. Robert kicked the door. Vivian was crying, or pretending to cry. I wasn't sure. This isn't going to end here. We're going to sue you. We're going to take everything from you. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I laughed. because they couldn't take anything from me anymore. They no longer had power over me. They left. But the legal war continued. Lawsuits, counter-lawsuits, hearings, medical exams. I went through everything. Through 3 different psychologists evaluated me. All 3 said the same thing. I was perfectly sane. They gave me memory tests, reasoning tests, mental capacity tests. I passed them all. The judge reviewed the case and ruled in my favor. Mrs. Mary Johnson is in full use of her mental faculties. She has the absolute right to dispose of her property as she sees fit. Robert lost. March. I didn't hear anything more from them for weeks, until Mrs. Lupe came with news. Mary, did you hear? What happened? Robert and Vivian are in trouble. What kind of trouble? The business they were going to start. The one they needed your land to start. Well, they tried to do it anyway. They got a loan with other collateral. I don't know what it was. And it failed. They lost all the money. I stayed silent. And there's more. It seems Vivian borrowed money from her family. A lot of money, promising the business would work. And now they can't pay. And Robert? He lost his job. It seems he was absent a lot because of the business, and they fired him. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel satisfaction. I only felt emptiness. Do you know where they are? Renting a small apartment, very small, in a bad area of Houston. I continued with my life, with my routine, with my land. But now there was something different. I had taken control. I had set boundaries. I had said, no further. And even though it cost me everything, even though I lost my son, even though I was left alone, at least I was left with myself, with my dignity intact, with my land free, with my name held high, just as my father taught me. One afternoon in April, I was in the vegetable garden pruning the peach trees. I heard a car. I looked over. It was Robert's truck, but it was coming slowly, without hurry. It parked. He got out alone. He walked toward me. He looked different, thinner, sadder, more humble. Mum. Robert. Can I talk to you? You're already talking. I mean, can I sit down? I pointed to a bench under a tree. We sat down. The silence lasted a long time. You were right, he finally said. I didn't answer. You were right about everything. Vivian, she only wanted your money, your property. She never cared about me. She never cared about family. She only cared about starting her business, being rich, being successful. And you only just realized? Yes, I'm an idiot. Yes, you are. He laughed bitterly. I lost everything, Mum. The money, the job, and soon I'm going to lose Vivian too. She already told me she's going to file for divorce, that I'm a failure, that she deserves better. I didn't say anything. And the worst part is, I lost the most important thing. I lost you. He closed his eyes. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I'm sorry, Mum. I'm so sorry. I was a bad son. A terrible son. I betrayed you. I hurt you. I tried to take what was yours. And now I understand why you defended it so much. It wasn't just the land. It was your dignity, your history, your life. We stayed silent. I looked at the horizon, the mountains, the sky, the fields I had worked all my life. Do you forgive me? He asked with a broken voice. I looked at him. My son. My only son. The child I held in my arms. Whom I fed. Whom I loved with all my heart. I don't know, Robert. I don't know if I can. I understand. He stood up to leave. But I also don't know if I can't, I added. He stopped. Time will tell. Time and your actions, not your words, your actions. He nodded. Thank you, Mum, for not completely closing the door on me. He left, and I stayed there, sitting under the tree, knowing that I had done the right thing, that defending my dignity was not wrong, that setting boundaries was not selfishness, that saying no when necessary did not make me a bad mother. It made me a strong woman, a woman who knew her worth, a woman who would not let herself be trampled. Not even for love. A year passed, a year in which life took care of putting things in their place, without me lifting a finger, without me seeking revenge. Life simply collected. I found out everything through Mrs. Lupe, through the town, through the gossip that reached me without me seeking it. Vivian divorced Robert in July. They weren't married for even a year. She left with another man, an older one, with money, with an established business, a real estate developer from Houston. She left Robert with the debts, all of them, the loans they took out together, the credit cards, everything. She left the way she came, Lupe told me, with nothing. Well, no, she took everything she could. Robert had to sell the truck we bought him, the one he loved so much. He had to move into a rented room, no kitchen, no living room, just a bed and a shared bathroom. He worked at whatever he could find, as a delivery driver, as a waiter, as a helper at a hardware store. He was no longer Mr. Robert Johnson, the college graduate. He was just Robert, another young man trying to survive. Vivian, for her part, didn't fare much better. That developer she left with turned out to be married. His wife found out. There was a scandal, shouting, fighting, lawsuits. Vivian ended up on the street, without the developer, without money, without a reputation. Her family, the one that had lent her money for the business that never worked, closed their doors to her. We don't want to know anything about you anymore. You shame us. She had to go back to her mother, an older woman who lived in a small house on the outskirts of Houston. Vivian, the interior designer, the one who was going to be successful, the one who thought she owned the world, was now cleaning other people's houses, with the same hands that before only served to take pictures for Instagram. Someone from the town saw her. They told me about it. She was at the grocery store, Mary, buying the cheapest things, wearing old clothes, without makeup, without anything. She no longer looked like the girl we knew. I didn't feel pity, but I didn't feel joy either. I only felt balance. Life collecting what is owed. Robert came to see me in September. He knocked on the door humbly. "Mum, can I come in?" I let him in. He sat at the kitchen table, the same place where he had eaten 1,000 times as a child. "Do you want coffee?" "Yes, please." I served him. We stayed in silence for a while. "How are you?" I asked him. "Bad, but alive." "And Vivian?" "She left. She divorced me. I guess you already knew." Rumors reached me. He nodded. "Mum, I came to tell you that you were right. About everything. Vivian never loved me. She just wanted what you had. And I was so stupid that I didn't see it. Or I didn't want to see it." "Why didn't you want to see it?" "Because it was easier to believe her lies than to face the truth. Because it made me feel important, successful, like I was somebody. You were always somebody, Robert. You were my son. That was enough. Not for me. I wanted more. I wanted to be rich, important, admired. And I lost the only thing that was worthwhile. You." His voice broke. You once called me selfish. You called me stubborn. You said I only thought about myself. And now, years later, while I'm alone in that horrible room, I see that same emptiness in my gaze. The same emptiness I saw in Vivian's eyes when she left me. Life always collects its debts, Mum. Always. We stayed silent. I slowly drank my coffee. He looked at his hands, hands that now had calluses, hands that now worked for real. What are you going to do now? I asked him. I don't know. Keep working. Pay off the debts. Try to rebuild my life. But without tricks, without shortcuts, without trying to take anything from anyone. That's good. Do you think you can ever forgive me? I looked him in the eyes. I forgave you a long time ago, Robert. What I don't know is if you can forgive yourself. His eyes filled with tears. Every day I wake up with that question. Robert kept coming. Not often, once a month, sometimes every 2 months. But he came. He no longer asked for anything. He no longer demanded anything. He just came. To drink coffee. To talk. To help me with something when he could. It wasn't like before. It was never going to be like before. But it was something. A small connection. Thin as a thread. But it was there. In December, I received another piece of news. Vivian was sick. I don't know exactly what with. Something with her liver. Something serious. She needed treatment. Expensive medicine. Care. Her mother couldn't do it anymore. She was very old. Very weak. Vivian ended up in a public hospital. Alone. With no visitors. With no money for a private room. In a shared bed with 5 other women. The one who once posted, "Our house, our party, our family, on my ranch," was now in a public hospital bed, alone, with no house, no party, no family. Someone told me Robert went to see her once. Not out of love, out of pity. He brought her some money, the little he had, for her medicine. She didn't even thank him. She just took the money and turned her face away. That was the last contact they had. I continued with my life, my ranch, my land, my routine. Ray and Jessie still helped me. Mrs. Lupe still visited me. Mr. Miles became a friend, not just my lawyer. I started going to town more often, to church, to the market, to talk with people. I no longer felt so alone. I had found a different peace, a peace that didn't depend on having family, a peace that came from knowing who I was, from knowing my worth, from knowing that I had defended what was right. One afternoon in December, I was sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. The mountains were painted orange and purple. The air smelled of wet earth. The crickets began to chirp. And I thought about everything that had happened. About everything I lost. About everything I gained. And I understood something. Life hadn't taken anything worthwhile from me. It had taken away what was rotten, what was hurting me, what was consuming me. And even though it hurt, even though I cried, even though I thought I wouldn't survive, I survived, stronger, freer, more myself. If my story helps just one woman to open her eyes, just one woman to defend herself, just one woman to know her worth, it will have been worth it. All the pain, all the loneliness, all the sacrifice. It will have been worth it. Because I am Mary Johnson. I am 59 years old. And this is my land. No one took it from me. And no one is going to take it from me. 2 years have passed since that night I turned off the generator. 2 years since I shouted in the dark. 2 years since I decided that I was no longer going to be invisible in my own life. Today I am 60 years old, and for the first time in a long time, I feel complete. The ranch is still mine. The deed is locked in the safe. Safe. Protected. My will is updated. Clear. Definitive. When I am gone, this land will not belong to anyone who sees it as a business. It will be for those who respect it. For those who understand that a house is not just walls and earth. It is history. It is blood. It is memory. Robert still visits, not often. But he comes. He now works at a small company. He does accounting. Nothing glamorous. But it is honest. He pays his debts little by little, with effort, with humility. He no longer talks about million-dollar businesses. He no longer brags. He no longer demands. Now he asks, "How are you, Mum? Do you need help with anything? Can I stay for lunch?" And I tell him yes, because even though he hurt me, even though he almost destroyed me, even though he took years of peace from me, he is still my son, and a mother's love is not erased. It transforms, it adjusts, but it does not disappear. I never heard anything more about Vivian. They say she left town, that she went to another state, that she is still sick, that she is still alone. I don't look for information. I don't ask. She is no longer part of my story. She was just a dark chapter, painful, but finished. There are days when I wonder what would have happened if I had given in, if I had signed the papers, if I had let them take the ranch, if I had chosen false peace over my dignity. Maybe Robert would still be around. Maybe we would eat together every Sunday. Maybe there would be no fights, no lawyers, no years of silence. But I would not be complete. I would be broken inside. I would be a shadow of myself. A woman without a voice, without power, without land. And that would have been worse than any loneliness. I learned something in these years. I learned that loving does not mean disappearing, that being a good mother does not mean being a doormat, that taking care of others does not mean forgetting about yourself. I learned that sometimes the most loving decision is to say no, that sometimes defending your boundaries is the only way to maintain your sanity, that sometimes people need to lose to learn, and that you are not responsible for teaching them at the expense of your own destruction. I also learned that loneliness is not always bad, that there is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. I am alone. Yes, I don't have a husband. My son barely visits. I don't have grandchildren. But I have my land. I have my name. I have my dignity. I have beautiful sunrises. I have the birds singing. I have the smell of freshly brewed coffee. I have the satisfaction of knowing that I did not let myself be beaten down, that I defended myself, that I was worth it to myself. And that, believe me, is more than many women can say. If you are listening to this and you are going through something similar, if someone is taking away your peace, your space, your life, if you feel guilty for setting boundaries, if you think that saying no makes you a bad person, I want you to know something. You are not bad. You are human, and you have the right to defend yourself, to protect what is yours, to say no further. It doesn't matter who it is, son, husband, family, friends. Your life is yours. Your dignity is yours. And no one, absolutely no one, has the right to take it from you. Yesterday afternoon, Robert came to visit me. He brought flowers, daisies, my favourites. Happy birthday, Mum. I had forgotten it was my birthday. Thank you, sweetie. We sat on the porch. We drank coffee. We ate the cake he brought from a town bakery. We didn't talk much, but it was a nice silence. A comfortable silence. Not like before, when the silence was full of unspoken things. Now it was a silence in peace. Before leaving, he hugged me. Thank you, Mum. For what? for not giving up, for teaching me that there are things more important than money, for saving me from myself. I stroked his hair like when he was a child. You're welcome, sweetie. But the one who saved you was you. I just saved myself. He left, and I stayed there, on my porch, on my ranch, on my land, watching the sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky orange, pink, purple, like a watercolor, like a perfect ending to any given day. This has been my story, the story I kept to myself for too long, the story I needed to tell, not to complain, not to seek pity, but so that other women know that they can do it, that they can defend what is theirs, that they can survive loss, that they can be strong without being mean, that they can love without losing themselves. If my story touched your heart, if something I said resonated with you, subscribe and turn on the notification bell to hear more stories of women who transformed their pain into wisdom. Every day, one woman, one life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes, a story like this can change an entire day. May God bless you. And until next time, I am Mary Johnson. I am 60 years old, and this is my land.